to beyoungministry.blogspot.com and to the YouTube page of Be Young Ministry. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube page of Be Young Ministry, you can do so today. Just go to YouTube, type in Be Young Ministry, Be Young being one word, ministry, and you'll go to it and just subscribe. And it'll help me out. It'll also help you out. Today we're in Ephesians chapter 6 verses 5 through 8, which reads, "Slaves, respect and fear your earthly masters. Obey and serve them with the same sincerity of heart as you serve the Anointed One. Don't put on a show just because they are looking as if you were a people pleaser, but as a slave of the Anointed, do the will of God from your heart. Serve them in good faith as if you were serving the Lord, not men. Because all good deeds are gifted back from the Lord, and they are yours whether you are a slave or not." Again, that's Ephesians 6, 5 through 8. Christian employees, which is today's application of this passage, are under obligation to those who hire them to do what they say, as long as it is in keeping with the Word of God. I'm sure you noticed that Paul did not suggest that we should rise up and revolt against our bosses. That's happening a lot today in our culture. But God, He comes at it from a different angle. He adopts a measured and calm approach when differences arrive. Rising up in protest only causes the power structures to shift from one side to the other. And in fact, it enters in a cycle where it goes from one side to the other, never ending. It's a ceaseless cycle. Now, there is a better way, and it does not look the way you would think it would look. Such are the ways of God. Always His ways are not our ways, and we're shocked by the way they look. But in the realm of history, whenever God's approach has been tried, it has always worked. Paul writes, "Employees or slaves, respect and fear your earthly masters. Obey and serve them with the same sincerity of heart as you serve the Anointed One." Our obedience to our employers must be done with respect and fear. We must be careful to approach this with respect and fear, or we will fail to trust God. And His involvement is of utmost importance. If we do not follow His instructions, we will not have His blessing. In verse 6, Paul encourages us to obey the Lord from the heart. Granted, we must work under man's direction, but we must always work as unto the Lord. If we approach our work like this, we will not be men pleasers. Our attitude must be to do the type of job for the boss that I would do for the Lord. According to verse 8, we must perform like this because all good deeds are gifted back from the Lord, and they are yours whether you are a slave or not. It does not make any difference what our status is in life. When work is done unto the Lord, He undertakes to correct the conditions that make for unhappiness, or else He pays us on another level. God does not promise always to correct the condition, because His will is that we manifest the grace that we have received from Him toward others. And this may very well result in our boss coming to know the Lord for himself. I'm sure that you remember the story of Joseph from Genesis 37 through 50. Joseph's life story was predicated on his understanding that what God had spoken to him and declared about him was true no matter what the circumstances. This explains his ability to resist the flesh, those evil desires within us that causes us to miss God's culture. Joseph chose to forgive his brothers for selling him into slavery. He was separated from his father for 13 years as a result of being sold into slavery. Every other decision he made emanated out of this one huge decision. Such is the nature of walking in the ways of the Lord. One door opens to another. It always opens to another because God's got a plan. There's a beautiful tapestry being unfolded before our very eyes. The question is, who's going to define us? Joseph did see some tough times while in Egypt, but in the end, he was the second most powerful figure in the land. Now, I'm not saying you will be the most powerful or second most powerful person in the land. I will say that God's will come to bear in your life, and his will's the best, the absolute best. Finally, through Joseph's example, we recognize the importance of seeking God even more when things are going well. Prosperity and success tested Joseph like it tests us. And it tests us infinitely more than hardship. When we're in trouble and our back is against the wall, we know we need help. And we know that success has corrupted more individuals than hardship ever has. That's why the powerful man, that's why his wife went after Joseph. It's prosperity that often causes people to lose sight of their God-given vision or to attempt to bring it to pass through their own natural ability. Had Joseph been walking in his natural ability, he wouldn't have run from that woman when she was giving overtures toward him. Even with extreme wealth and power at his disposal, Joseph waited on the Lord and watched in faith as God brought his dream to fulfillment in the life of Joseph. Such is our story. My friends, I trust this podcast and blog are of help to you in your walk with the Lord. If I can be of any help to you, shoot me an email at beyoungministry@gmail.com.